You know, some things just have a name that gives you the chills, and creeping eruption is definitely one of them. Today we're going to dive into the parasite behind it, Ancylostoma braziliensis. Its story is this incredible journey into the parasitic world, especially what happens when these things take let's say, a wrong turn.
And I mean literally under your skin. This isn't just some saying for when someone's annoying you. For a few unlucky people, especially travelers, it becomes a very, very real and super itchy medical problem.
So, this is what it looks like. This is the classic telltale sign of the infection. You've got this tiny, invisible creature that's literally burrowing just under your skin, and it leaves this trail behind it as it moves. The whole bizarre, incredibly itchy experience, well, it has a proper medical name, cutaneous larva migrans.
Okay, so what in the world is causing this wandering rash? Let's meet the little critter responsible. All right, here's our culprit. It's a tiny nematode, which is a type of roundworm. More specifically, it's a hookworm. And get this, it's usually called the dog or cat hookworm. And that little detail, that's a huge clue to this whole story.
Now, to really get what we're dealing with here, we need to draw a line in the sand. This hookworm is a metazoan. That just means it's a multicellular animal, a complex organism. This is totally different from protozoan parasites you might have heard of, like Giardia. Those are just single-celled organisms. So let's be clear, we're not talking about a microbe here. We are talking about a tiny animal.
And if we look at its full scientific address, you can see it right there. Kingdom Animalia, phylum Nematoda, the roundworms. Now, this isn't just a boring list of Latin names, right? Think of it like a roadmap. It tells scientists everything, its biology, who its relatives are, and maybe even where its weaknesses are.
So, the big question is, how does this tiny animal go from just hanging out in the soil to being under a person's skin? To figure that out, we have to follow its life story, its natural life cycle.
Okay, so in its perfect world, its natural hosts are cats and dogs. And here the life cycle is, well, it's a masterpiece of parasitic evolution, really. It starts with eggs in the feces, which hatch in the soil. The larvae grow up a bit, and then they just wait for an unsuspecting cat or dog to come by. Once they get in through the skin, they go on this wild journey, through the bloodstream to the lungs, then they get coughed up, swallowed, and finally they grow into adults in the intestine. And boom, the cycle is complete. A total success story for the worm.
But what happens when that little larva makes a mistake? What if it picks the wrong host? That brings us to this really important idea of a dead-end host. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an organism where the parasite can get in, sure, but it can't finish its journey. The life cycle hits a dead end. And you've probably guessed it by now, for Ancylostoma braziliensis, we humans are the dead-end host. We are that brick wall. The second this hookworm larva burrows into human skin, its journey takes a completely different, and for the worm, totally futile turn.
Okay, so here's the play-by-play. The larva has the right tools to get through our first layer of skin, the epidermis. No problem there. But to go any deeper, to get to the bloodstream, it needs a special kind of key, a specific enzyme to unlock the next layer. And guess what? It doesn't have the right key for humans. So it's trapped. It can't go anywhere. All it can do is just wander around aimlessly under our skin until it dies. And that crazy intense itch, that's our own immune system freaking out and launching a massive response against this little invader.
You know, this whole thing isn't just a biology lesson. It's also a story about geography and about travel. So this hookworm is kind of picky. It needs the perfect environment to thrive. Warm, moist, sandy soil. Just picture it. Tropical beaches, subtropical coastlines, that's its happy place. So it's no surprise it's endemic, meaning it's just naturally found there, in places like the southeastern US, Central and South America, Africa, and parts of Southeast Asia. That's the parasite's home turf. Okay, but what about a place like the Netherlands? It's much colder there. The parasite just can't survive in the soil. And yet, doctors in the Netherlands see cases of this. So how is that possible? Well, it's a classic case of what they call an import dermatosis. Basically, it's a skin problem that's brought back home by travelers. And it's not just a guess. If you look at the official data from the Netherlands, they classify hookworms, or mijnwormen as it says here, as an exclusively imported infection. They're on the list right next to other famous travel diseases like malaria. This is, without a doubt, the one souvenir nobody wants to bring back from vacation.
All right, so let's say you get back from a trip and you've got this weird, itchy, winding rash. What now? Let's talk about how it's diagnosed and, probably more importantly for you,
how to prevent it in the first place. The diagnosis is actually, you'll be happy to hear, pretty low tech. A doctor usually doesn't need to do a biopsy or some complicated lab test. Really, all it takes is seeing those unmistakable tracks on the skin and hearing that you've recently traveled to one of those tropical or subtropical places. That's usually enough. And the best part? It's very treatable. There are antiparasitic meds that just stop those little larvae right in their tracks.
When it comes to prevention, it's really a One Health kind of problem. That just means you have to think about the health of people, animals, and the environment all together. So step 1, deworming pets. Step 2 is sanitation, simple stuff like keeping dogs off beaches and properly disposing of animal waste. And finally, there's personal protection. Pretty simple. Wear shoes and use a towel or a chair on the sand in those areas.
Now you might think we've got this parasite all figured out, but science never stops. So let's take a quick look at what's new and exciting in the world of hookworm research.
And there's a lot happening, on all fronts, really. For diagnostics, researchers are developing super-sensitive blood tests. In epidemiology, they're using genetics to map out different regional groups to understand how it's spreading. And this is a big one. They're always investigating new drugs, because you always have to worry about parasites becoming resistant. So yeah, our understanding of this tiny worm is getting better all the time.
Just so you know, we put together all the information for this explainer using a Gemini deep search. If you're someone who likes to go deep and check out the original studies, we've got you covered. There's a link to a Notebook LLM document with a detailed list of all our sources, right there in the description.
So, if you found this little journey under the skin interesting, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel. We've always got more deep dives like this coming. And hey, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear if you've ever come back from a trip with let's say, a strange souvenir of your own.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought to chew on. We live in a world that's more connected than ever. People, animals, we're all constantly on the move. It just makes you wonder, what other hidden stories, what other fascinating, maybe even unsettling biological tales are traveling right alongside us, just waiting for their moment to pop up?